Welcome to Across the Balkans. I'm Nafisa Latic. Great to have your company. The EU has set tough deadlines for Bosnia and Herzegovina. The country needs to adopt key reforms by the end of March in order to open its accession talks. The next European Council meeting in Brussels is set for March 21st and will likely be the last chance for Bosnia to open membership negotiations before June's European elections. Coalition parties across the country say they are cautiously optimistic and that they intend to vote in favor of the EU's requested laws. I had an exclusive interview with Christian Schmidt, the High Representative for Bosnia and Herzegovina, and I asked him about the chances that the ruling coalition will agree on what is needed to fulfill conditions.
I think they are doing a lot. So far, I haven't seen that there was a consent. Sometimes I have the impression that it should be, again, realized that this is not a gift of parties to parties, but this is the right of the electorate that they can vote as they want the vote to have consequences and checked. So I'm optimistic, I remain optimistic, and we will go to see a better basis for elections in this year, I'm very sure.
I'm glad that you're an optimist, but this is Bosnian ruling coalition that we are talking about, made of different political actors with different opinions about the future of Bosnia. If they fail to agree on these changes, will you react?
I think I have a duty in terms of the Dayton Peace Agreement. Annex 3 calls for fair elections due on the standards of international experience and accordance. And OSCE and ODIHR, the European institutions, have since 15 years had a look and proposed improvements. So I feel that among the European Union member states, there's a long and intense wish that there is given reference to fair elections. So I think this is part of my mandate to look for this. How this will be done, then we will see.
Mr. Schmidt, will you openly name those who are blocking Bosnia and Herzegovina to implement 3 important verdicts of the European Court for Human Rights?
I think first of all, one has to know that without implementation of the rules and decisions of the European Court of Human Rights, the non-discrimination in the Constitution will not be manageable. One cannot have a country in there, a Roma or Jewish person cannot run for presidency only because he or she is Roma or Jewish. So this has to be changed. I understand that this cannot be done in one day, now ahead of the decision of opening of negotiation of accession talks. But this has to follow. I see that there's a package of amendments to the Constitution necessary. I will contribute this. I cannot implement and do not implement on myself. This is to the Constitution, but I think there will be pressure from European side as well from me to do, and I could imagine that at one stage there's a time to make clear who is doing something and who is blocking something.
I have to ask you one important question that many Bosnians are wondering. In Bosnia, we still have those who are portraying war criminals as heroes. You have borne powers to prevent that, to stop that, because it's bringing a lot of pain to those who have suffered during the war. Will you use those bond powers to prevent these type of glorifying the war criminals?
We have, my predecessor has implemented a law against glorification of genocide, and I repeated this law. I will extend it, that I do not see that for any election, somebody who has been sentenced at the International Tribunal of the former Yugoslavia in The Hague for war crimes, crimes against humanity, or genocide should have any opportunity to run or take over for any position, public position. So this is something I have announced. I'm happy that we now could manage, after 27 years, that the sentencing of those war criminals is part of the personal files on the national level. It was not yet up to now. And the more, I think, if we talk about reconciliation, we should have those being responsible for these times being out of the public political discussion. You cannot do this with a law. But look, I hear that there are some people are writing a book. Okay, everyone can write a book. But I would suggest not to attend presentations of books of war criminals from anybody, by anybody in Bosnia and Herzegovina. This is a strong recommendation I'm giving to everybody.
Mr. Schmidt, you've spent a lot of time in Bosnia now. If I ask you to define what is the problem of Bosnia and Herzegovina, why it has continuously this image of non-functioning state, how would you define what is the biggest stepping stone for this country to lose that image and move forward to a brighter future?
First, I would say, looking to the people, these people deserve, these wonderful people, committed with a lot of skills to have an opportunity to stay at home. Why is functionality so complicated? I think because some politicians have not realized that this is about compromise finding and not about taking off 100% of any decision. And I'm optimistic that with European Union assistance, it is clear that you cannot wait for the big brother or for the Grand Vizier just to implement. For the time being, I think there is a need for international cooperation, assistance, and sometimes decision. But the clear message to those who are failing to give functionality is we will not substitute your mistakes all the time. You have, if you are doing mistakes one after the other, people have to decide how they will continue and whom they will charge with the responsibility in government. So there's not an answer. This is the reason. I think it is a mixtum compositum, and I would hope that if we give more possibility for the public, for the voters to say directly what they want, it's better than got the filtration sometimes by wrong narratives.
Mr. Schmidt, at the end of this interview, I do want to ask you, what would be your main goal as a high representative of Bosnia and Herzegovina? What do you want your legacy to be after one day you leave this office? What would be your best, let's say, your wishful scenario for this country?
Clearly, three issues. The first issue, let us manage to get functionality on a pragmatic level. The second issue, let us manage to bring off this high degree of corruption. This needs more independent judiciary. This needs more independent judiciary. This needs more citizen-like criticism and the public without being somehow intellectually put aside. And the third and most foremost is reconciliation. In this country, never ever has, except some very committed parts, being a possibility to openly discuss what went wrong and how can we prevent this for the future. I count on the young generation. This needs, by the way, that the young generation makes its decision to stay and not to leave to any other European or American country. So we are coming back to number one. They will not stay if they see no functionality and if they see not an absence of corruption, in the sense that a merit-based position can be taken without just having friends and paying friends. So this is my dream, if I may say, and I think this is the dream of the people in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and we are here, and I'm only for the people, not for a political class.
Mr. Schmidt, thank you for speaking to us here on TRT World. Thank you for your time.